In today's episode, we are going to focus on the focus speed of the new Tamron 150 to 600 millimeter very popular zoom lens versus the Canon 100 to 400 millimeter that has just been released. And so starting with the Tamron at 150 millimeter, we will defocus throughout these series of tests. We defocus first towards minimum focus, we acquire, and then we will defocus towards infinity and repeat that process to see how the lens focuses from either extreme. So we can see from that first test that the Tamron acquires focus quickly and accurately. Now as we look at the new Canon, we're going to look at its 100 millimeter focal length and do the same thing, defocus the Canon and then quickly acquire focus, defocus towards infinity, and you see it's even quicker. One thing to note here is that the Canon has a much closer minimum focus distance, and so it has to go through more range of motion to achieve focus when it's defocused towards minimum focus. Now the Tamron at 400 millimeters to give a comparison to the Canon. Once again, we're going to defocus towards minimum focus. And again, we see that the Tamron quickly acquires focus. There is some movement of the camera in this process. It's on a tripod, but there is some motion. We can see as the test repeats, however, that focus is happening very quickly and accurately there. Now as we look at the Canon, and we do a similar test at 400 millimeters. We're going to defocus the Canon, and you can see again it defocuses much greater, and so focus takes a little bit longer when defocused towards minimum focus. And then repeating the process from infinity, now at minimum focus. And then when we defocus towards infinity, you'll see that focus is that much more quick to acquire. Now the Tamron, of course, can zoom all the way out to 600 millimeters, and so let's test its focus speed there. Once again, defocusing towards minimum. Find the Tamron takes just a split second longer, particularly from minimum focus as opposed to infinity, but still focus is happening very quickly there. Now if we add a 1.4 times extender, the Canon has a 560 millimeter equivalent. Let's see how it focuses now. From minimum focus, you can see it's a little more leisurely because of that longer throw from its minimum focus distance. And repeating the process. Now if we go towards infinity, we find that it acquires focus much more quickly. But now if we use the focus limiter on the Canon, it makes the minimum focus about equivalent to the Tamron. And I would say with the extender in place that focus acquisition time is probably pretty similar to the Tamron now when that focus limiter is used. Now in this test we're actually going to work at taking a photo, and then we'll examine this photo. And we see that to the detail, even at a almost 100% crop, is nice. That's 560 millimeter. Now we'll do the same with the Tamron. And so here we can see once again a very nice looking photo, and the crop looks great also from the Tamron at 600 millimeters. Side by side, you can tell that there is a little bit difference in framing between these two, and that can also be seen from the full shot here. Now here we want to actually compare the sound that the lenses make when they focus. And so here is the Canon. Now I'm going to take it to infinity and come back. Okay, so that's at 400 millimeters, quick and accurate. All right, now let's take it back to 100 millimeters. Lined up okay. And here we go. And from infinity. Okay, that gives you an idea of how quickly and quietly the Canon focuses. All right, now let's take a listen at the Tamron. I've set this at around 400 millimeters. Okay, so we're going to go back to its minimum focus. Okay, to infinity. All right, now let's take it down to 150 millimeters. Make sure that's set up right. Okay. Okay, that gives you an idea. And just for comparison here, I'll show you what it's like at 600 millimeters. Okay, to minimum focus. To infinity focus. Alright, so that gives you an idea how the Tamron is going to focus and what the focus motor sounds like during that acquisition. So as this little test shows, both of these lenses focus very quickly, but even more importantly, they both focus very accurately. I would say when it comes to doing AF servo or tracking that the Canon has the edge in that type of situation. But when it comes to stills, as this test shows, I would say that they are roughly equal. In fact, the Tamron may have a slight advantage when both lenses are defocused towards minimum focus, simply because the Canon has such an incredibly close minimum focus distance that it has to focus over a longer range of focus points to achieve similar focus. And so in some situations like this little test, that's a disadvantage, but I would call that a net advantage for the Canon lens. In conclusion, if you are considering a purchase, I don't know that either one of these lenses is going to have a huge advantage when it comes to focus speed over one another, and I have found them both to be very accurate in focus. The good news is that they're both excellent lenses in this regard, and so you can perhaps eliminate that from the question of which lens you would prefer to purchase. Thank you.